Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to continue with Mariah Carey's album cycle with her 5th album, Daydream. This album and era does have some lead up to it. The year before, Mariah had conquered Christmas and she was ready to continue her urban streak. But Tommy Mottola wanted her to go back to the adult contemporary sound of the first 2 albums. Yet Mariah still wanted to test the urban streets, as this will be her first album she'll work with Jermaine Dupri, a featured collaborator of hers. Daydream wound up being massively successful. Hope it lives up for me. Before we begin, if you want to see music bios or more good videos like this, hit the subscribe button. Also, I've started a Patreon account. On here you get more copyrighted material and they'll be uploaded 48 hours prior to YouTube. If you want to support or visit, link is in the description. And without further ado, on to our feature presentation. One of the more recognizable songs on this album, this song uses the Genius of Love sample. Of course the song is good, but I do want to shine a light on the ODB Bad Boy remix that's not on the album, cause I can't help but smiling when I hear Dirty's verse. His energy, and whenever he introduced the remix, he always put forth the energy that I know Dirty can. The remix does have one line from Puffy that has aged very weirdly when he says, "What you gonna do when you get out of jail? I'm gonna have some fun." Yeah, all in all, the song's still an absolute classic, and while I prefer the remix, the original still holds up. This has a 1970s R&B feel. The harmonies, the vocals. The song reminds me of At Your Best by the Isley Brothers. Not much to the content, but when the song sounds amazing, you just can't ignore it. It's one of the easiest listening songs on the album, and it's one of Mariah's personal favorites with good reasons. It should have been a proper single. I want to keep this one brief, as I've constantly talked about this song in the past. Let's just say there was a reason why I placed this song as my best song of the entire 90s decade. Just saying. This was a cover song originally sung by Journey, so I decided to listen to the original before I get into Mariah's cover. The Journey cover, fine enough, while not being my thing. But the question is, did this cover overshadows the original? Sadly, no. But this one does hold its own. I love how Mariah starts the cover with acapella before the pianos come in to make this a power ballad. But I will say, for a ballad, it's very short, only just 2 verses. And I'm talking to both Mariah and Journey on this. But you know what? It might not match the original. It did its job. It's fine enough. And this is where the Jermaine Dupri conversation enters. And it's one of Mariah's most signature songs in her entire catalog, and one of my personal favorites. Not just this album. How does the song wind up being a love song and a breakup song at the same time? Because Mariah is basically saying, you want to leave the relationship? Fine enough, but you'll be back here. And Mariah comes off kind of as addicting, like a drug, but a healthy one. In all, like the previous song, this is another classic, one of my favorites from her. Now we're in the album cut phase of the album, and this one aged kinda wonky given her circumstances with her controlling husband Tommy Mottola. Given a toxic marriage, Mariah is singing about being free while she isn't free herself. The production goes back to this gospel mixture of 1960s ballads, a sound that I've heard constantly from Mariah at this point. But with the whole Mottola-Mariah aftermath, I wonder what he thinks about this song now. Another ballad, at least this one feels different. Mariah's having a love at first sight moment as she believes that he could bring her out of this darkness. But this song could have been something, but I don't know. I feel like it doesn't quite get there. Even with the key change, kinda underwhelms. It's not a bad song, but it just didn't move the needle that it's more capable of doing. This might be Mariah's most funkiest song to date, and Jermaine Dupri is back on production. It's Mariah talking about a relationship. Things were cool, but she started noticing signs that he was using her. But Mariah remembers how the love mostly felt, and she wants to recapture that feeling. I will say this is good. In some ways, the content is similar to Always Be My Baby. The production's nice, and the content's decent enough, even if she already done this. I'll call it an in-betweener. The last time I talked about a Babyface song, it didn't do much for me. Fortunately, this one does get there, and then some. For one, I just love that Mariah's using her lower register, even though you do hear a whistle register appear at the tail end of the song if you catch it. But overall, this is another easy song to listen to. It's typical 90s Babyface song, and it's great nonetheless. And we're back to this 1950-60 feel song, and this has to be the Tommy Mottola pick of the album as it was a hit on adult contemporary radio. But there are some good things going on with this one. I love that the guitar in the beginning, and Mariah, as always, sounds good vocally, just only that the content is self-explanatory. So I could call this good, not quite the best on the album. The album closer, and it's a piano ballad, and this one's one of her more personal songs. Her whole life she's been outside looking in, whether it's her being biracial, the media unsure to label her as a pop artist or R&B artist, or her whole relationship with Tommy Mottola. But Mariah tells listeners they'll never know the real Mariah, and that's the big takeaway for this song. It's a great piano ballad and a good album closer. And that concludes this album review. While Mariah showed progress, this one managed to stick. It had some of her most iconic songs, and she finally was doing the music that she wanted to make, instead of the semi-boring adult contemporary songs of the early 90s. Despite Tommy Mottola's many attempts to sabotage this era, this wound up being one of the best albums of 1995 or 1996. And with that being said, an 8 out of 10 ranking will do. Mariah's best album to date, yet how did this album not win a Grammy? But anyway, her next album is Butterfly, and it's another album that I'm looking forward to. And that concludes the Daydream review. Tell me what you think in the comments below. What is your favorite song from this album? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.